Hello and welcome to focusIR. I am John Hewman and I'm very pleased to be joined today by Roy Kashi, who is the CEO of Falconedge, a newly Aquis listed company specialising in asset management services, but with importantly a very, very interesting Bitcoin twist. Welcome, Roy.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on, John.
No, not at all, not at all. So yeah, month on the market, very good to see you getting that away. Many congratulations there.
Thank you.
Perhaps best things to do is start by introducing yourself and Falconedge. What does it do?
Sure. So Falconedge is a hedge fund advisory business spun off from its parent company, Falcon Investment Management. So we provide asset managers with all their non-regulated activities, anywhere from compliance, PR, marketing, capital intro, portfolio management software, risk management. We are soon to have a fintech platform we'll be rolling out, which allows managers to more visibility. And I can't talk too much about that as being a public listed company, but there's a lot that we're working on in the background there. So anything where we can help grow fund, aid fund managers to grow their funds on a more cost-effective basis is what we do.
Mm. And I assume you've identified that there's a very clear need for these services, particularly among emerging managers. Perhaps talk us through what gap in the market you spotted and how you plan to exploit that.
Sure. I mean, it stems back from Falcon Investment Management, which was founded over 11 years ago, which offers asset managers FCA regulated platforms to kind of plug and play and pay a fee, really. It's if you're looking to start up your own fund, especially a hedge fund, I think with the costs nowadays and all the ancillary services that you need and staff to not, to have enough capital where the management fee can support that, you're looking at least 100 to 150 million dollars under management to start off with for seed capital, and that's very hard to find unless you're, a huge kind of name in the fund management world. So if you're an emerging manager and you've got good strategies and you believe in yourself, but you don't necessarily have the assets to back that up, you come to companies like ourselves, and we can help there. We can help you grow quite quickly, um, while keeping your costs down and giving you all the services that you need. And that's been very successful.
Yeah, indeed, and now, of course, the twist is the Bitcoin side of things. This is where it gets really interesting. Perhaps talk us through the digital asset strategy behind Falconedge.
Sure. So the team, myself and the team at Falcon Edge, we've been heavily involved in crypto for the last 8, 9 years. Under Falcon Investment Management, we have over $1 billion of assets, of which half are in crypto. And we had the first regulated crypto fund in the UK in 2018, which is still with us. And they've had huge growth, as have the other funds under our platform. So the natural step was, when we were spinning off Falcon Edge to offer all the non-regulated activities for asset managers, we wanted to leverage our experience, our position in the crypto ecosystem to on the Bitcoin side, because that's the one asset we believe in more than anything, to hold on the balance sheet for various reasons, as it's quite publicly documented. Bitcoin is just the quintessential asset to own, we believe, for the next 10, 15 years, especially with all the devaluing of the fiat currencies, the regulation, the QE that we see in the world, where the value of fiat just keeps getting devalued on a yearly basis. Bitcoin is immune to that, and we want to hold that on the balance sheet. So over 90% of our assets go into Bitcoin.
Yeah, and so I mean, it's very interesting. Bitcoin is you've adopted it as part of your treasury strategy. Perhaps talk us through how you see Bitcoin being more broadly adopted in treasury strategies.
I think you've seen the growth of these treasury companies explode in the last year. Obviously, strategy were the original ones doing this. I like to kind of distance ourselves from being a treasury company because we are very different. I think there's been an influx of so many that have come on the market trying to copy that strategy, financial engineering model of using ATMs, dilution, raising capital, buying more Bitcoin, and getting that mechanism constantly churning. However, that's ground to a halt in the last 3, 4 months when we've seen, I think, just it's just become too saturated with companies just not offering anything differently. We like to see ourselves very different, and we said this from day one when we started the process. We're not a treasury company. We're not a we're holding Bitcoin on our balance sheet, but we're very different. So our core business makes money, revenues and profits, and that's something we take very seriously. And we are growing that area, and we're putting more um, things in place there to aid that growth. And secondly, where we're going to be very different, which is our biggest USP, is we're going to get a yield on our Bitcoin. We're aiming for a double-digit annual return on our Bitcoin on the balance sheet. And just yesterday, we put out an RNS to the market where we've began the Bitcoin yield generation policy, our strategy, where we will be using our Bitcoin and aiming to get, as I say, a double-digit return on our Bitcoin, which will be non-dilutive, purely organic yield. So not Bitcoin yield, as treasury companies like to say, i.e. Bitcoin growth on the balance sheet versus Bitcoin per share. This is a real organic generated yield. So this will mean we're going to grow the balance sheet, grow our Bitcoin on the balance sheet on an annual basis, which will aid us to buy more Bitcoin and be not non-diluted to shareholders.
So this sounds like really a virtuous circle that underpins this yield mechanism.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have in in our company, we through our parent company, we've put in the mechanisms in place where we won't be using any third parties, but we have an in-house proprietary yield generation mechanisms that will, we believe, get double-digit yields every year. And this is going to be quite beneficial to us because no one else that we've seen in the market is able to do this. So this comes from years of having a track record in doing this and having, don't want to say zero risk, but close to zero risk strategies that will bring genuine alpha to our balance sheet.
Mm. How has your this been? Let's start that one again. I'll get my words out. So how is what's the reception amongst your clients been for the services you offer and particularly the kind of Bitcoin services behind this?
So in terms of the asset managers, that's been very good. We signed up 5 managers already. We're in the process of trying to get some more um, under the umbrella. We've also, as I said, we're going to be expanding our offering with a fintech platform in the near future, but I can't talk too much more about that. Um, the other thing is in terms of the Bitcoin side, I think that's we have a lot more credibility in the market because of our background in the system, because of what we do, because of our background in traditional finance, mine and the guys I work with. I think that's been well received, and I think the market has um, really kind of bought into why we're different and why we don't want to be measured necessarily against the other treasury companies because we do things look at things very differently, and we are going to be doing things very differently over the next 5, 6, 10 years because we see it as a long-term thing.
Yeah. Can you give us an example, perhaps, of how the services you've offered and the way you approach it have helped your clients?
You mean in terms of the
The
asset
strategy,
managers or?
both the asset managers and Bitcoin in action.
Well, just as an example, being listed and now being in more of the Bitcoin kind of events and meeting people in that on that side of the industry, we've started conversations with purely managers that purely trade Bitcoin in their funds, and they're keen to start working with us. We were able to use our Bitcoin to to get our yield on the Bitcoin. We're able to use that now to seed managers in our first loss platform for our parent company, which is how we're going to be getting a yield. So that's enabling the growth both ways.
Yeah, and so I guess that being publicly listed helps, but perhaps talk about the rationale behind the Aquis listing.
Sure. I think being a private company versus being a listed company has so many, sorry, being a listed company or being a private company has so many benefits. Um, you get more credibility. Speaking to investors, they're far more open to giving you their time, which we found. Just because you have to go through the whole regulation, the whole process, the whole legals, the auditing, especially companies our size, it just gives them so much more comfort to know that you've gone through all the DD, all the processes, and you're actually there, you're visible. They're able to invest quite easily in the company, and when things go well, have access to crystallize their profits, hopefully in the future. So that's made a big difference for us.
Mm, mm. So 1 month in, and obviously a long journey ahead of you. What can we expect to see over the sort of next year or so as you sort of become firmly established on the market?
Yeah, absolutely. So yesterday, as I said, we announced the beginning of our yield generation strategies, and that's going to be quite important because on a monthly basis, we're going to be posting RNSs to the market in a very transparent, fully audited way, the returns that we're going to be making on our balance sheet. So shareholders are going to get full disclosure and transparency of returns that they can enjoy. Um, that will aid the growth of the company and the growth of the balance sheet. We're also obviously can't talk too much about it being publicly listed, but we're doing a lot of work in the background, which takes time, especially in a market where possibly sentiment's not been at its best for Bitcoin and anything crypto. So it has been taking its time, but we're working on so many things in the background that hopefully in the next few months will bear dividends and be very helpful and beneficial for us and our shareholders.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of potential product news on the way as well, as you've alluded to. Looking forward to seeing more about that. But obviously we'll have to wait and see. Roy, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Congratulations once again on getting the IPO away, and hopefully speak again soon.